one can make a difference. So can the absence of one. Let me show you. You were a clown. Your purpose in life was to make people laugh. The laughs weren't many, but the ones you got were genuine. You made Fizz smile. That smile wasn't there when he realized nobody would catch him when he fell. He survived. And Buxo saw an opportunity. Fizz has been dependent on Buxo ever since, and Buxo has been dependent on Fizz's disfigurement for years now. People pay top dollar to see the amazing amputee. They would never know him as the Great Fizzarali, nor would they ever find out his real name. He would forever reside in Buxo's shadow, unable to leave. And said shadow would forever remind him about what he lost. I know what you're thinking. It's just one person. But you are mistaken. Fizz is not the only one better off for having known you. You might think you ruined her a lot more than helped her. But think about it. She's famous and beloved now, partially thanks to you. Think about what would have happened had you two never met. Verosika was a nobody too, once. Much like yourself, she saw a different calling than what was destined for her. She was a succubus. She was also a musician. She would be seen strumming on a guitar she bought with her last wad of cash, singing solemn melodies to no one in particular. But alas, a succubus cannot live on passion alone. Succubus also needs to feed. They need love and intimacy. Unless you're able to stand out on your own, you cannot get it on your own. And so, like with most demons, she went to one of the overlords for help. Too bad she went to one of the worst ones. And despite that, nothing changed. The competition was fierce and she didn't stand out enough. She would never find that unique spark. Without you, there was no inspiration. Without you, she would never make a name for herself. Without you, her musical dreams would have faded out completely. And that would have killed her. She would have been fine without me, you say? Granted, this is but one of many scenarios. After all actions have consequences, both good and bad. This was just a way for me to prove to you that even the most tarnished of relationships can have silver linings. Both the bad and the good help shape the relationships around you. Sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better, sometimes in ways we never thought imaginable. Let's kill two birds with one stone to prove my point. In your eyes, you're a homewrecker, a user and an asshole who stops at nothing until you've destroyed all that's good in the world. But without you, Stolas wouldn't have learned how to break out of his gilded birdcage. Between his servants and the endless starry sky, you were his first and only friend. He was put on a very dark path. One he would have kept walking until the very end had you not appeared in his life. You were the key to his salvation. Without you, there would have been nothing but an empty spotlight. Followed by a loveless marriage without the promise of something better. In other words, he would have had very little to look forward to. You would have been a public figure, yet felt so profoundly alone. The remedy would have come in the shape of an oval. And for a short while, it would have worked. But even the happy moments would be draped in dark melancholy. Every waking moment, every sleepless night, all the worries spiraling through his head. Would he be able to protect her from the looming shadow hanging over them both? Would they be able to escape? If so, where? Who would they turn to? In the end, he knew that no matter how hard he tried to fight for her, it was only a matter of time before the inevitable happened. So, just like himself, Octavia was put on a dark path. Seeing her repeat history was too much for Stolas' mind to bear. He shut himself in, hiding from the rest of hell, while the Goetian Council took over his role as regent. The less said about the aftermath, the better. You look skeptical. I don't blame you. It all sounds a tad far-fetched to be true. But this next one might be easier for you to believe. It's a bit closer to home. You saw something in Luna the day you adopted her, did you not? You saw something so many either couldn't or simply refused to even acknowledge. You saw yourself in her, and thus you were able to relate. A lot of discarded talent and promise, wasted potential and unanswered wishes. In other words, you saw a hidden gold mine where others only saw faults. Society had written her off as a nuisance, a rotten apple, a bad dog. Little did they know that she wasn't always this way. All she truly wanted was what we all want: acceptance. What did she get? Hundreds of accusing fingers pointed her way, telling her she was always wrong. But what exactly was wrong with her? She could never figure out what, nor would anyone tell her. She spent a lot of her free time trying to improve herself, socially, physically, intellectually. She used all the resources available to her to finally become good enough. She picked up a lot, both on her own and through the people who adopted her. She became a master at fighting and weaponry, and she gained a vast intellect in various areas. She was stronger and more resilient than a tank, and she could outwit even the smartest of overlords. Still, it wasn't good enough. In the end, her problem was that she was more than just a hellhound. She had dreams. Dreams she was very vocal and passionate about. And dreams weren't for mere pets. By this point, she had given up all hope in getting what she wanted, and instead gave in to the image projected onto her. She was an animal, and nothing else. Of course, this did not improve her chances. Most hellhounds aged out of the system and got released onto the streets as any stray dogs. But not hounds like Luna. She was a liability risk. And liabilities get the needle. All it took was a single prick, and she was gone for good. Are those tears I see? I wish I had a handkerchief to give you. You're going to need it for my final example. Moxie. Poor little Moxie. Son of a mob boss, bereft of a mother at a young age, forced into a life of crime. You saw and heard first-hand accounts from not just one, but two reliable sources. You found out that Moxie was dealing with demons of his very own. A little snag in a plan was all it took to turn your beloved friend into a jailbird. He gained access to a world he was not prepared for. As you know, this was when your paths crossed. You helped him escape. Or at least that's what would have happened had you existed in this reality. Without you, his father, or his boyfriend, he was left to fend for himself. He had to learn how to survive, or die trying. Once they let him out a couple of months later, he had nothing but revenge on his mind. He didn't venture forth alone. He slowly amassed a sizable crime syndicate, which eventually rivaled that of his father. Krim took notice. Bloody gang war started. Much like a game of chess, Moxie started as a pawn and worked his way up to a king. Little to his knowledge, the ripples could be felt all the way down in the Wrath Ring. After Moxie's incarceration, Chaz fled. He had to lay low for a while, so he applied for a job as a farmhand. While he had very little to show, he managed to charm the fine folks at the Rough and Tumbleweed Ranch, especially Millie. He was genuinely happy with his newfound life, and he still would have been had they not found him. Millie saw red. She was not about to let her man slip away, at least not without a fight. They had covered their tracks quite well, but all that was needed was to press the right person for the correct information. Millie promised to spare his life if he told her. She kept her word. Soon, the queen was face to face with the king. The room erupted into a hail of bullets and knives. Who won? Let's just say it ended in a stalemate. So, remember what I said at the beginning? How even the absence of one can make a difference? Well, I hope you finally see how truly beloved you are. You've made mistakes, but you've also made a positive difference for so many in so many ways. You've started careers, given hope, ended tragedies, prevented disasters, given homes to the homeless, and love to the unloved. Even if you do not think of yourself as anything worth keeping around, others do. So, Blitz, please wake up.